I should probably go into draft as well. Well, oh, sorry, Scantzor, are you here?
I'm here.
Alright, good.
Did you have me muted?
No, I just muted my Skype. Sorry, I did the whole intro. I'm like, Scantzor, where you at?
Well, I was here.
Said, IG was wrecking and Newbee was not. Sorry.
Yeah, that is what happened in the first game. But we already see a dramatically different start to the draft in the second game. Newbee.Young first picking tight ends. So, I mean, that's like a dynamic that was totally unpresent in the previous game. And IG pick up the early axe, so both of them now have like this like pretty big team fight hero. I'd say Tide is a bigger team fight hero. Axe is like maybe stronger in terms of pickoffs as well, though. It's something in Tide that doesn't have. And Axe can be played in almost any role at the moment, except 5. You can play it as a jungler, you can play it as an offlaner. I've seen it once mid, and I've seen it a couple of times in the safe lane as well, since the patch came out. So it's quite nice for that. It doesn't like necessarily get. I think the most common lane is the off lane for the Axe, but it by no means the only lane situation for him.
You know, I'm not personally a big fan of the jungle Axe. I feel like if you're gonna jungle Axe, you could jungle a better initiator type of hero. I would even make the argument in certain game an LC jungle might be better than an Axe jungle, but I guess the point that you're making is that he's versatile enough where you could pick him early and kind of hide what you're doing.
Yeah, they can adjust if they absolutely need to. If they realize, okay, we're being outdrafted, the lanes don't work, they could change their plans. And Lion, which I don't know, was Lion bad last game? Lion just didn't come up last game.
Well, and I think one team selected both their supports quite early. That's something that you touched on, the Venge plus Enchantress. And so that one team wasn't even considering it, and the other team didn't really need to ban it. So he might have actually just slipped through.
Because Lion is like the premier support right now, internationally, like across all meta games. I feel like Lion's in every single game that doesn't get banned, and it's picked. I've been tracking an Epicenter. I think Lion's got 100% pick or ban rate so far.
I think Lion's one of those heroes, especially in the beginning of a patch where nobody has really figured out what the 10 most broken heroes. Lion's always good enough where you could pick him, and you're never unsatisfied with Lion, right? Because he gives you strong mid game ganks, late game initiation, bursts. There's not much beyond that you could ask from a support, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. And IG go back for the Alchemist I was mentioning in the last game. This is something they've been putting Ferrari on a lot recently. They usually are quite successful with the Alchemist. I mean, honestly, most Chinese teams I've seen, when they get the Alchemist, they win. It's something that's now become more popular in international meta, but it was huge in China for a long time. Like, even before this patch, even toward the end of the last patch, there was a lot of Alchemist picking going on in China. There was one big game in the major qualifier, I think, where IG picked the Alchemist and lost against CDC Youth. But it's interesting they actually go for the bounty Alch combo. So this is something that Wings did a lot in their victory at ESL. Picked both the Alchemist and the bounty together to the point that a lot of Chinese teams are banning all these gold cheating heroes in the early phase. The Doom, the bounty, and the Alchemist. I call them gold cheating because they're heroes that create resources out of kind of thin air. Like they make gold not from killing creeps or heroes, but like extra gold from just innate abilities. And Wings were really kind of, they had a very impressive win against Complexity at ESL, where Complexity had quite a big lead, but because they had Alchemist and Bounty, when you have these two heroes, even if you're behind, it's so punishing of mistakes from the enemy team, because a bad fight and all that track gold and all that space for the Alchemist, and suddenly there's like a 10k swing in like one fight. It's kind of ridiculous. Right, at the same time, what I will say for Newbee.Young is that Morphling is something I've seen do very, very well against Alchemist recently.
Well, here's the thing. There was a new patch, 6.87c, where you cannot make Grievous Greed on illusions anymore. So the Alchemist Manta build, the Morphling replicates, that's not going to be... Well, I think the game you were talking about was where the offlane Ice Morphling got more farm than the Alchemist just by making Alchemist replicate and just having that farm with the Grievous Greed bonus. Well, now that's not the case. And I think back to your point earlier is that I think predominantly the Alchemist in China has been playing with the Manta build.
I think they have a lot. I mean, I don't know which Alchemist games do you see in China without the Manta build? Because they always go early build, but then they go insta Manta build. That's what I've seen. They'll start with an armlet.
Yeah, they go armlet, radiance, Manta, right? That's like the progression.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bots.
Yeah, exactly. Armlets, radiance, bots, Manta, and then the most interesting development that I've seen in the Alchemist build recently in China is that after the Manta style, I'm very often not seeing Octarine anymore, but Blade Mail.
Yeah, Blade Mail.
Or sometimes the Octarine with the Blade Mail, which is apparently like a really good combo together, right?
Oh my god, there's so many heroes to talk about. There's the Timber Saw too now.
Okay, so Timbersaw is actually pretty good against Alchemist, right? Timbersaw has been buffed quite a lot recently as well. I'm a little bit scared for IG at the moment. So we talk about like the gold cheating heroes they have with the Alchemist and the Bounty Hunter, but Newbee.Young just have like a really scary 5-man lineup. Like I just feel like in a team fight they're massively favored right now, and IG need to. They lost Big House to help them to team fight.
Well, yes or no? Like, I mean, how do they actually kill an Alchemist? Yeah, Timbersaw is gonna help, but beyond that, like let's say you get over the hump. Maybe it's like the 30-minute mark where Alchemist gets enough item where the Timber actually doesn't kill him anymore. Like, how does Newbee.Young ever kill an Alchemist?
Morphling out carries Alchemist. That's what I've seen. That's I've literally seen Morphlings out carrying Alchemists.
Yes,
and
in a fair fight. In a fair fight, right? Like if both the team does essentially sort of similar things, but I don't know, the double greed with Bounty and Alchemist, I just feel like IG's gonna propel themselves unless they lose like fights all over the place.
Yeah, but then it's just about turning a corner. That's kind of, when you drop Morphling against Alchemist, it's always like that. It's if you like get past the point where Alchemist just owns you because he has like so much ridiculous farm, then suddenly the Morphling draft just completely outscales the Alchemist draft. So I think that IG are likely to get to a stage where the Alchemist is like 10k ahead of everyone, and then they have to win the game in that window. And if they don't, I think they're in big trouble. That's kind of like I feel like the game looks pretty bad for them if it goes long and Newbee.Young have stabilized. I don't think IG have much of a chance at all at that point.
I think the point you're making about Morphling out carrying the Alchemist, again, it's with the previous versions where the Morphling gets the Grievous Greed on the Alchemist illusions. And I do think that's a big part of how the Morphling keeps up in farm as well, right? I mean, late game, yes, Morphling, when he's punching the Alchemist, Morphling's going to punch harder. And he's probably going to kill the supports faster too with shotgun.
Yeah, it's not just about punching each other. It's like there'll come a time in the game, if it lasts long enough, where we stop centering our analysis on how do Newbee.Young deal with Alchemist, and we start talking about how do IG deal with Morphling. That's kind of what I'm saying.
Sure,
and
fair.
I think that if Newbee.Young get to that point, they're in a really good position, because once the game becomes mostly about the Morphling, not mostly about the Alchemist, they actually don't have a good plan to win that kind of game. So they need to apply a lot of early pressure. I mean, to be fair, Clinks is a hero that goes online very early. They have Bounty Hunters, they have Axe. Like, IG's lineup really reminds me of... go back a few years, IG right after they won TI2, in this early 2013 season, they were doing these run at you, Sven, Bounty Hunter, Night Stalker. That's what this lineup actually reminds me of. And if that's their plan, if they're going to just run away with the game, snowballing, then Newbee.Young might struggle a lot. But for me, it's absolutely about, do Newbee.Young find that kind of turning point where now it's about my Morphling? Because if they get past that point, they're good.
Alright, a couple of small things to point out. First things first, Blightstone on the Clinks. He will hit extremely hard with Searing Arrow. Second thing, this is a mid Timbersaw versus the mid Alchemist. So the melee matchup for Timbersaw, very, very good. Sure, there's no trees to cut, which could become an issue, right? Because the Whirling Death, when it cuts a tree, that's when it deals the pure damage. But it's more about like removing the stats and just punching right clicks. Also, with the Acid Spray, a lot of heroes have difficulty standing under it. Timbersaw has a slightly better time because he'll have regen from reactive armor. So let's see how the mid matchup's gonna go. I imagine Timbersaw's gonna win the matchup quite heavily, but we'll wait and see.
He will win it, but I've seen Ferrari's been playing Alchemist so much recently, and what people started doing against him is they would draft Morphling and Lich, and they would dual lane him and be sacrificing creeps all the time, and he'd still be fine, just because like it's why it suits Ferrari. You know, he used to always play stuff like Dragon Knight as well. He's good at playing this mid laner that like can't lose the lane. Like even if the enemy team does everything they can to make him lose, he's still gonna get farm. because he's gonna have stacks in the jungle. His team will make lots of stacks for him, and like what little farm he gets, he's getting bonus gold, even if he's getting less creeps than you are.
Sure.
So I think that even if the Timbersaw does well, it's probably not going to amount to the Alchemist doing badly.
Wrong is not going to stack despite walking past the camp, literally at the stack time. Which is, I guess, commentator's curse, as we just talked about how his teammates will stack for him. Bottom lane, though.
They really do.
Sorry?
They really usually do. Like, usually he comes out of the lane and it's just like all these stacks for him.
Alright, strong sentry game here from Newbee.Young, blocking another camp, the small camp. The lanes are kind of shifted around. The safe lane Axe versus the off lane Morphling, but what it comes down to is that Morphling is going to get quite a bit of farm here. Meanwhile, QD on the bottom lane is laying it in against Tule on the TIE Hunter.
Yeah, and I talked about how Weaver was a hero he was comfortable with. Klinks is another one that he has played quite a lot, and they've picked specifically with Alchemist. I think the reason that you do it is exactly so that you can have a core that comes online and applies pressure to make that extra bit of space while the Alchemist is like finding his final form. It's like there's this kind of 5-minute period between the lane stage and Alchemist is like impossible to deal with, where the Kings can apply a lot of pressure.
Speaking of pressure being applied, Axe is actually doing a fairly good job. I mean, he's got a big wave all over to Jaja. In fact, he's going right in here. Morphling's not going to die or anything, but he's taking quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, so I'd say the lane stage is going pretty well for IG, although it's not a huge difference in either direction. Both teams are kind of like getting roughly the same amount of farm for now.
Yeah.
The mid lane, they're gonna try kill Ferrari. Rubik's coming.
Double damage. I think he's dead here. Toss him back in. Here comes the whirling death. Never mind.
He's got a
Actually,
stick.
one more hit plus Fabled? No. Can't get it. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, so he makes it out. Yeah. I feel like if the lane stage keeps going this way, where like everyone's kind of just trading farm, the first timing definitely is for IG. That's kind of like how their draft works. Once all the ultis online, they really pose a big threat. Whereas ultis being online for Newbee.Young, it's more like they're scary in a 5v5. But you can't usually you can't force the enemy team to 5v5 if you're Newbee.Young, because you don't have like a pushing lineup. So if you group up at a lane, they'll just be like, okay, whatever, we'll split up.
Well, like you said, laning stage completely even. The bounty hunter, hold that thought here. Lei might just be dead. Hex is available. The fiery arrows, the body block's gonna come in as well. There is a glimpse. No, he doesn't have glimpse yet. But 2 more attacks from Lion. Not going for it. He's just waiting for the impale. Oh, wow, wow. Thinking about going back in as well here. Not sure about that Lei. Lei could have been home free. But went for a pretty low chance play. Does trade for a kill, I guess. Lion will be happy with the first blood goal.
Yeah, it's interesting because he would have been like, oh, he outplayed me, I missed the kill, and then Disruptor's like, no, here you go.
Let me outplay myself and go for the kill.
Yeah. So one interesting thing about Ferrari's Alch is that he always does this Soul Ring build, which is not the dominant Alchemist build at all. Even for the mid Alchemist, a lot of people still prefer the bottle. But I've never seen a game of him playing Alchemist recently where he doesn't go Soul Ring. And it's very much about farming the jungle and the stack, so they're gonna actually get the Timbersaw.
Great Hex here, just in time here. I thought the chain was gonna pull him to the treat his off, but Bubblegum.
They haven't. I keep talking about the stacks. They actually haven't made any stacks for Ferrari yet, but it's definitely a part of his Soul Ring game. Like I see him just duck into the jungle for a long time, usually on this hero. And another thing that I want to point out is normally they play his Alchemist on the Radiant side, and then he goes to, I don't know if you've seen this farming pattern where at these trees you can Quelling Blade all the trees and farm the Ancients and the big camp at the same time. But I feel like on the Dire side that's not actually an option, is it? There's no way you can farm the big camp and the Ancients at once.
You could lay the acid like sort of here and drag the creeps, but it's not as efficient. Although you can make the argument of like cutting down all those trees does take, quite a bit of time.
He does it while he's farming though. He'll like start farming the big camp and then like cut across, kite them, and I'm wondering if his timing's gonna be a bit slower than I usually expect him to be because he's
without stack, it's definitely gonna be painfully slow.
I
don't know what the supports are doing, but they ain't stacking, that's for sure.
Well, maybe it falls to Klinks and Axe to make that space we were talking about. Once Axe has a dagger, once Klinks has 1 or 2 items, Bounty Hunter's track. Like, Alchemist can find the space to get a huge amount of farm in the space of just a few minutes if his teammates are applying pressure.
Mid lane here, both melee heroes kind of trading hits non-stop. I mean, I think they picked SC thinking, the Timbersaw for SC thinking that they would do more than what he's doing in the laning stage. Because right now, you can't make the argument that, you know, Timber is justified for the pick, for the lane. He's going to have to do a ton in the mid game to really kind of make up for it. Well, that said though,
he fights pretty well against the Axe and the Elk in the mid game, I think.
Yeah. I think Blaymail is probably somewhere down the line for him as well this game.
Yep, I think that's definitely a consideration. I'm interested actually, like, do you think it's the right choice? Newbee.Young have been stacking their own Ancients for their Tidehunter. I just feel like the way these lineups match up, it's quite reasonable to think that IG could contest. Could like just go steal those Ancients at some point, and Newbee.Young, like, sure, you've got a Ravage. I guess that's the way that, you know, if everyone comes and fights the Ancients, we're the ones with the Ravage. But outside of the Ravage, IG are the ones that are much more threatening, I think, at that stage. So I'll just keep an eye on that and see if the Alchemist manages to steal. Well, he's actually gone back to the jungle and started stacking his own camps and farming 2 at once, or at least stacking 2 at once. So this is where the stack game begins for Ferrari.
I think you make an interesting point about Ferrari taking the stack from the Ancients, but the fact that there's a Timbersaw, I think that makes it quite risky. Because, I mean, if you eat a Ravage in that area, you're probably going to just be dead to all the pure damage that he could output. Depends if you
I
know.
agree with that.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's a very tempting play if Ferrari does know the existence of that stack. But, yeah, I'm curious as well. Mid lane here looks like Wrong's going to take himself a courier. Nicely done.
And he's just going for the standard Bounty Hunter skill build. Yesterday I saw Complexity's Bounty Hunter Z-Freak was actually 2 points in Shadow Walk, because the Shadow Walk costs more mana now. Like, it's interesting because, like, you could see why someone would go 2 points in the Shadow Walk now, but at the same time you see most bounties not doing it and they seem to be doing fine. So I'm not sure how you feel about that. Like, is that something that's actually necessary? Or...
It's something I haven't tested yet, so I don't want to talk too
like
much.
The thinking is meant to be because it costs slightly more mana, you want slightly more duration for each time you use it.
Basically, it makes it you don't have to Shadow Walk as much, right? So
yeah.
I mean, it's okay. It's just that Bounty's always a very starved hero when it comes to experience. Mid lane here looks like we're going to see a little bit pull him. Bopuka's going to drop his text immediately, keep himself alive. Impale, not going to hit on anything. I think he wanted to hit on both, but...
Well, he stays alive, so it's still a win for him.
That's fine. You know, the thing that we haven't really touched on too much is the farm disparity between Axe and the Morphling. Like, Axe is almost tripling on the CS. What happened? We haven't been really watching the lane, but I guess Axe is just running right up at the Morphling, and Morphling just can't keep up.
I mean, Axe is just a difficult hero to lane against. Like, there's very few dual lanes that could even, like, shut him down. His farm is guaranteed, he gets the whole wave, and you're getting only some creeps because you're trying to stay out of range of him. The bot lane Klinks is probably going to die here.
Yeah.
So it's something for Newbee.Young, but I mean, it's in both the side lanes, IG outfarmed. In the mid lane, they got less farm, but they have an Alchemist, so he has more. If you look at the net worths, they've got the top 3 net worths, even though, you know, there is one lane where they got out CS'd, and that's just how an Alchemist works.
Yeah, supports are doing much better as well. Raw on the mid lane, Janata into straight finger. Don't think he was expecting that one. So, you know, the bounce.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Ferrari's doing his thing. Take a look.
Okay. He's cutting trees.
He's like, I'm on the dive, but I'm just gonna do my radiant farming thing. And here comes the Timbersaw. So
you know, they see
let's
him.
see.
They got the wards available. Tidehunters. I mean, there's a ring of TP coming in. He's gonna TP out. They have the glimpse to cancel it. Yep, they do. And now the Alchemist is somewhat stuck. He pops his ultimate. Great kinetic field is gonna keep himself in there. He's gonna channel a stun. The Pure Dam's gonna
come. Got
an
omelets.
They have Ravage if they want to commit to it. Yeah.
Okay, so this is like everyone knows that this is how Ferrari plays Alchemist, and so they just like had a ward up, and they were like, he's gonna come do this tree cutting thing, and they were so ready for him.
Yeah. And now it's like, hey, thanks for weakening the wave a bit. Tule's gonna finish it up, and Tule's got the mech after that, so all things considered, pretty good for the Radiant team after that exchange.
Yeah, I guess maybe Ferrari was thinking they won't expect me to like farm their side.
Yeah.
It's kind of like even though people know that he does that farming tool, is it really like, do we blame him for not expecting there to be a ward there?
I mean, there's
I
two
don't know.
wards there. There's another ward kind of seeing the entrance, right? Mid lane here, we're gonna see a jump, and I do believe SC is dead as all the pure damage of Axe is being laid in.
Oh
Didn't even
wow,
have time
that's
to
a
dunk.
Blink Dagger on Lion. Lion's like as farmed as Morphling.
And they don't get the kill on QD as well, so things are not going well at all.
Yeah, like literally the only good thing in this game so far for Newbee.Young is that they killed Ferrari when he came to steal their camps. But like,
Wrong's about to get another kill. Track, dunk. All right, this game is quickly being spiraling out of control.
Yeah, this reminds me so much. Like, do you remember what I'm talking about? When right after they won TI, IG, like they had like a month or two where they still dominated.
Yeah.
And they were always picking Sven, Bounty, Nightstalker, like charging at people. Axe is like similar kind of hero. Just a momentum game.
I think more Nightstalker and less so Axe, because Nightstalker was kind
Yeah.
of, or sorry, Axe was kind of like a never seen hero. I think. At
Yeah,
that point.
but Axe can fulfill that role here
Yeah.
because of like the way Culling Blade snowballs.
Obuka
Okay.
on the mid lane might be in a little bit of trouble. He's gonna juke to the south. He blinks out. He's gonna be fine. Mid lane though, trying to look for a dunk. Tower is gonna finish it. XXS taking a ton of damage. This is what you pick the Timber Saw for. That burst is gonna be there, so not a bad trade for them. Wrong's gonna come in. You gotta be careful here. They see him. Ravage is available. Finally use it. Somewhat late as the Timber Saw does die as a result to the finger. 2 kills, man. Bubblegut's really converting right now.
Yeah, and Ferrari wasn't there. It's a bit awkward on the dice side what he's... Oh, is there more fighting in the mid lane?
Yeah, he blinks away. He's fine.
So he's been like, he spammed the acid on the Ancients and then he like used his hero just to farm the neutrals. And then once the Ancients were weakened, he came back and finished them off.
Right.
So it's much less neat than the Radiant side farming where you could just cut through. But his farm is still looking pretty good. I'm mostly like, I want to start asking the question like when do we start seeing the impact of the clinks? That's like the one thing for IG that we haven't yet really seen.
I think a lot of the impact is less so on his kill score, but the fact that the other cores are not being farmed, right? He's been able to essentially usher the Morphling away from the lane, at least for now. And the Tidehunter probably would have gotten more in the early lane stage if it wasn't a Clinks laning against him. So his
I think that's fair.
Yeah, the stat line might not be the best, but it doesn't need to be, because he's doing alright the other department. Although he's about to get ganked. No, he's gonna break the smoke and then TP out. And the Radiant hero's like, what the hell, man? Where did he go?
Yeah, I kind of think he's at the point where he should be online to threaten kills on anyone who's split up. Like Clinks, if he's roaming around the map, can force the enemy team to group up. And if Newbee.Young have to start grouping up right now, they've basically already lost the game because you're just going to split up and farm and you have an Alchemist.
Link, Impale, Hex, another kill. I think
There's that first Link's rotation.
He's also not looking to make those early rotations as much because he's got a bounty hunter on his team. If he was the dedicated core that needs to create space, then yes. But Ron's been doing a fantastic job at essentially fulfilling the same role as bounty hunter.
In the meantime, Ferrari is getting closer and closer to his relic. And I gotta come back to the point, like, Tidehunter buys a mech, which is another group up as 5 item. Like, the way that their team fights, the way they get an advantage with Timbersaw with Tide is by grouping up as 5. But the problem is that their lineup is not very good at pushing. It's like, it's very mediocre at pushing. And I feel like okay, well, they're gonna get bounty here, by the looks of things.
Yeah.
But a lineup that wants to force the enemy team to 5v5 needs to have more pressure in pushing usually, because otherwise they can just split up and get better value off the map.
They got a Ring of Bassi on Morphling. Does that count for anything?
That's their pushing power, the Bassi ring.
I mean, they're pushing a tier 2. I mean, we talk about pushing. If you look at the towers on the map, it's relatively similar. Meanwhile, Bubblecut's gonna go for a kill. He does get it, but I think that's okay here for Newbee. They're gonna get a tier 2. So you talked about they need to group up and push, and even though they don't push fast, at least they're converting on these pushes.
They're getting less though, right? So they just traded 2 towers for 2 towers, and the Alchemist wasn't involved in the pushing for IG. So Alchemist was farming the jungle the whole time, and there were 2 towers for 2 towers. So these trades can't be favorable for Newbee.Young. That's because they don't have like proper pushing heroes. Sure, they can get the objectives, but to make a favorable trade, they want IG to actually come to them and fight them, and
That's
IG, if they're smart, just won't.
Well, IG is complying. At least a Lion Bounty did. They did pick up 2 free kills essentially. So.
Well, the Lion got a kill. The Lion got a kill when he died. That's...
Okay, all right, fair. Bottom lane, Jiajia's gonna get picked again. The 2 blink daggers are online much quicker than expected.
It's so bad because for Newbee.Young, I'm talking about how they want to get a 5v5 and IG just won't give it to them.
Yep.
The only, like, their other route for winning the game is Morphling hitting the timing we were talking about earlier. Like, the turning points in the game, but
yeah,
Morphling is the one that's, like, really struggling.
Yeah, also the kills on Timbersaw is very key as well. Blink on the mid lane. They're gonna go on the Tide Hunter. That's gonna be a gutsy kill. He does have the blade mail, but well, Rav is gonna come through. They do get the kill. Looks like it was Battle Hunger being stolen. Not very helpful. Blink forward again here. Meanwhile, Tide gonna be in a little bit of trouble as QD lays in from the back. The Timbersaw also dies. Way too much disable for the Radiant team to deal with.
I mean, for a fight containing a Ravage, that's a pretty huge win for IG.
Yep, they're gonna get more here. Mirror's gonna get caught. QD's in position. A couple more right clicks, and that's okay. No, never mind. It looked like for a second that QD was out of mana, but he had one.
Now Ravage is down for 2 minutes, so IG will probably get more from this. I wouldn't be surprised if they get 1 or 2 tier 2s or a couple more pickoffs, because they're gonna feel very, very confident whenever the Ravage is down.
Oh, they're picking up gem too. They feel extremely confident. This is generally like, hey, we're gonna close out the game now. Move from a team when they pick up this in the early gem. Or they could go Roche too, you know? They can play as slow as they want or as fast as they want. They have all the lead, all the momentum.
The dynamic's going to be so firmly set when Ferrari gets his travels, which he's not too far from. Because once he has his travels, you're going to just be able to tell he's pushing all your lanes all the time, the amount of farm he's getting, and you're still trying to play this group up game.
Well, Newbee gonna go right back in. No Ravage, no problem. They got met.
What if IG considered just fighting, bringing in Ferrari and fighting because there's no Ravage?
That's exactly what's going to happen right now. They're going to TP in the 2-man call. Oh my god, explosions are coming out. They're going to try to focus on Morphling. Maybe not the easiest target on the backline, though. Kling's doing work. Kills the Rubik. Immediately tracks are being thrown out left and right. They ping out XXS, but nobody's there to actually kill him. SCC is trying to do what he can, but man, Boboga is literally throwing out Ravages of his own.
Yeah, like, that was such a good impale.
Yeah, or just absolutely insane. That might just prompt the GG call, but it's not coming out just yet.
Yeah, I mean they killed the Alchemist, but it's like...
Yeah. Actually, they got quite a goal from killing the Alchemist. I mean,
yeah, because he's super farmed.
Yeah. This axe, man, I did not expect this axe to work out this well. Blade Mail's gonna pop up here. Perfect chain stun coming out. They have Hex to follow up. That's gonna be yet another kill. Dump to ensure it. Yeah. Oh, not done yet. They're gonna get another support kill, I think. That's like 2 5-man track kill, and Boboga again connects on the follow up. Mirror's gonna be dead as well. Give him that track. No track. Doesn't matter.
So we're talking in the draft about how Lion's a go-to support. It's got disable, it's got damage, it's got control. We didn't mention the fact that it has Ravage at like a 12-second cooldown. It's pretty good.
I mean,
Tyler has to wait 10 times longer. Like, I mean, more than that.
When I play the hero, it's like, oh yeah, you got disable, you know, you got a blink at 26 minutes or something like that. But when a professional plays it, I mean, we seen what Pilot I could do, and we're seeing what Boboga could do. When you play a hero so well that you make essentially a standard hero look like, wow, one of the most broken hero in the game, then you know you're doing it right. You're doing it well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I mean, you're talking about GG calls, and like, I think because this is a single elimination, they lose this game, they're out the tournament, they want to stay in as long as they can. But I do think that Newbee.Young are like almost out of time. They need to get good value out of the next Ravage. They're fine wrong here.
Can they even kill him? He's got Greaves. He runs out of the circle. Alright, they got him. They finally got him.
We were saying last game, like when they kill the Venge, it's the same way, like when they kill the Bounty Hunter, that doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
And they need a big fight. The next Ravage needs to give them a big fight, which firstly means IG have to accept, like, taking the fight, and secondly means that they need to somehow win it. And at this point, it's not even clear that they win the fights when IG do face them.
Well, they got a Lincoln finish, so I guess me saying that there should be a GG called might be a little bit preemptive, because one avenue of victory is just going like the ultra late game. Jiao is about to get ganked though. Lincoln does not help you against X, or just 2 spells being dropped immediately. He just runs away. No mana for the finger.
I think IG just got a little bit nervous. They were like, they wanted to make a quick kill, they didn't manage to, and then they were like, okay, we can't sit around here and wait for the Ravage and Timbersaw and disrupt the combo.
Yeah.
I think they must know that it's that big AoE combo that's the only chance they have of actually losing the game. So rather not take the risk.
And I think that's Newbee's kind of ticket to win as well, right? Like, if they just hold high ground, they have the tools to hold high ground. Because if you look at the Dire lineup, they have Clings for push, and that's pretty much it. So, I guess I'll go.
Blink Dagon and Timbersaw is pretty big actually.
Yeah.
Like if Tide gets a big Ravage now, there's gonna be huge damage inside it.
Unfortunately though, there is gonna be Aegis on the other side. This Bloodstone first here for Timber, not really converting, down to about 6 charges. Bloodstone did used to start with 6 charge, you know, way back when.
Yeah, these days it starts at 12, so he's halved.
Alright.
Fight's coming now. This will be the decisive fight, possibly.
I mean, Wrong is just breaking the whole smoke. Blink Ravage is going to hit on 3. They're going to try to wave in. The burst damage is coming in, but XXS gets 4-stat back out. I mean, that's a pretty good ultimate, kind of covering the retreat, but Ferrari doesn't care. So the question is, how do you deal with Ferrari that we asked? Well, SC is going to get another kill. Klingso doing a lot of work on the backline against Gia. Gia kind of disabled up. He does wave to the left. I think he will be fine. Should have a wave momentarily. He's going to go up on the high ground, trying to make a replicate of somebody, but no, the burst damage is there. He just straight up dies. It's a 2-for-2 trade. That's not the worst for Young, except they lost to Morphling, which is like the only hero they really need to keep alive throughout the fight.
And that's their big fight. This was like their use of Ravage that I felt really needed to turn things around for them. And Mur is hiding down here with the gem, and if he gets spotted, that's actually a huge loss as well. But looks like no one's actually gonna see him there.
That's a gutsy gem pickup for the team. Like,
it's a desperation gem. That's what I think. It's like they're feeling totally choked out of the game, and
they are.
It's just take on the risk. Take on the risk of the gem because we actually need it to feel like we have any information at all.
I mean, given the fact that there's a Klings and Bounty running around, I say it's a fair assessment of the situation. And you can see the support just hiding in the trees. Like, they can't go out. You know, I wonder if Rubik's gonna just give up the Blink Dream and just go Ghost, because I don't think, like, Blink might not even be the best situation of the item, because if there's gonna be a good initiate, it's gonna be coming from the Tide. It's not gonna be coming from the Rubik.
So it does look like Ferrari's doing one of the skip Manta games on Ulk.
Yeah. Oh, mid lane.
I think he'll.
Looks like we might gonna see a jump here. They have Hex available, and they will Hex him up immediately. Good pick from Newbee.Young. But yes, skipping Manta.
So I think he'll go Octarine and Blade Mail, and that's actually I confused myself at the start when we were talking about it. I was saying they all still buy Manta. The exact build I've seen Ferrari doing recently is the Octarine and then the Blade Mail, and then they win the game. It's like Blade Mail is kind of his last item before his team wins the game when he plays Alchemist almost always.
I mean, the last fight, we already seen that the fact that they really can't focus him or kill him. So Blade Mail.
Yeah, but they also, like, the AoE damage can't avoid his Blade Mail, right? You know, like they have to fight into it, which is really awkward for them. So if we look at that as the timer, he's got enough gold for Octarine now. It's like 2k gold for Blade Mail, and that is the point at which the Alchemist draft usually just ends the game. So
right.
it's not too far off.
I've seen quite a bit of Shiva's cards as well. So, I mean, it's just the fact that it gives you so much more armor and you just kind of run in. And the slow allows you to actually kind of gap close and lay in more right click. But,
yeah, the Shivas is very good. The Wings Alchemist usually goes for Shivas, but it's typically his 6th item. It's like the final item of the build instead of what used to be the Assault Cuirass.
Right. Yule Scepter being picked up. This Timbersaw is adding quite a bit of item to his inventory, and rather rapidly as well. 9 charges on the Bloodstone. Yule's, I mean, does it do anything amazing this game?
I don't think so.
I'm not exactly sure why he picked up the Yules.
It helps him to blink away, I guess. If that's, I mean, you didn't really buy blink to blink away as a Timbersaw though, right? So I guess you can use the axe when he jumps on someone so that he doesn't spin. You can use off track. Maybe that's it.
Okay. I mean, we're kind of grasping at straws. I feel like if he's gonna go for a defensive item, a Lotusaur might be better for himself and the team. If he wants to go for an offensive item, Aghanim is probably the first thing on the list. So, we'll
maybe
see.
just he had an early windlass, and he was like, gotta use that windlass, man.
Gotta be slot efficient.
Yeah.
You know, I've literally had somebody tell me he was playing like a bounty hunter or something. I started seeing him like building towards a Scotty, like by picking up like a point booster and Ultimate Orb. I'm like, why? He's like, I got an Ultimate Orb, man. Gotta convert this to something. Or sorry, not Ultimate Orb, but Orb of Venom early because he's roaming.
Yeah. Okay, well, this is the Alchemist Blade Mail, and it's time for IG to go for the death push. They still have Aegis. It's okay, they don't. It's just run out.
I don't think it's as easy as you make it seem to be, the death push. Like, I think going up against high ground against this team is extremely scary. I mean, and this is with Newbee.Young being down like a bunch of net worth. The exact amount being 15,000. You could either Ravage and the Disruptor combo, and you could just be dead.
I think you're right. It's not necessarily that easy. It's more just like, I think I've seen it so many times that I feel like in their head, it's the timing. We've got our Blade Mail on the Ulk, now we go.
It's happening now.
They do set up. Yeah. 5 years smoke. They're gonna catch someone here. If they catch the tide, that's pretty big. Unless they.
Oh no! He jumps in. We need the Ravage right now, but he dies. There's not gonna be any burst damage coming out from Newbee. They're gonna have to disengage right now here. Mirror, he has the gem. I think he's gonna be straight up dead. The dunk gives him more movement speed, and they drop. Oh, well, not an impale. In fact, now the Morphing Waves thing goes in for the kill, and the support can't get it. Jiao will be able to run out, but they've lost so much. They lost a gem. They lost more Bloodstone charges. And why did I question you, Scantzor? They got the play mail, and they're gonna just.
What's funny is he didn't use it. He the fight went so well that there was never a time where he was taking enough damage to justify blade mailing. So I was watching him the whole time, and he was like he's waiting for a huge chunk of damage to come out, and he just keeps like postponing because he's like, oh, this is so easy. Like why do I need to activate my blade mail?
Man, that was so unfortunate for the Timber to essentially hook in and die. I don't think he expected anyone to be there. He was like wanted to go a little bit faster. Here comes a high ground push.
There's no Ravage now, so
there is
IG aren't that afraid.
Gets immediately a mana drain. Kind of slow down this push a bit. Ferrari in the front line pops that blade mail, goes to work on 2 lane. Not gonna die or anything, but it's hurting.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Timbersaw was really the ideal pick for them to get there, right? Any other hero, and like maybe because Timber's the one that he needs to be comboing damage output with the Ravage at the moment.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they would have much rather lost to Rubik or Disruptor or anybody. But...
Even the Morphling, like even though the Morphling is like kind of their carry, he's less important than Timbersaw.
Well, looks like we see another fight. Well, the TIE Hunter gonna secure the kill here on the Axe. Meanwhile, Yule Scepter against a line of all people. They're gonna lose the Rax though, unfortunately.
Yeah, they were just like they saw an opening because Alchemist ulti is down, and like it's not like a Ravage cooldown, but it's pretty important to fight around.
Yeah, Finger's gonna come against 2 lane, not gonna get the kill. Again, scrappy fights are going through, but Sun's gonna go into 2 lane, Jiao waving around. Maybe SC could go in and just pick up a couple more kills. They do have Glimpse, so maybe in theory they could chase a couple more down. But the Blade Mail, man, it hurts so much against SC. They Glimpse one back. He's invis. He's tracked though. Looks like Rubik has stolen track throughout the fight somewhere. Has been doing a lot of tracking of his own. No, Jiao gets stunned up. He's forced that back in, but can he wave away? No. The right click too much. 2 lane, a lot of trouble as well. Hat Ravage cannot use it. Mir's gonna go down as well, and that will definitely prompt the GG. If you don't call it GG, IG will give it to you.
Yeah, IG like considering going back, buying new items. They're like, we could actually just kill them again, make them GG. But it looks like actually Newbee.Young want one more Ravage because they haven't yet comboed the Ravage with the Timbersaw's damage outputs, and they want to just do that once.
Well, the acid is also making it ultra annoying for these Blink to come out. The buyback comes rather late. Here we go, the burst damage is there. They only get the line. I mean, I get it, the line's been doing a lot of work, but that's not really the target. 430, pops a Blade Mail, 1v3, does not care. 1v4 now? Okay. Jaja, gonna be dead. And there's a GG. But the game's been over for a bit now, I think.
The game's been over for possibly like 10-15 minutes, to be honest. Like, I think IG just outclassed Newbee.Young in both of these games. I mean, for me, it is quite an important sign that this IG team is, even though Ferrari's kind of new to it, it's a close-knit group of players who have been playing together for nearly a year. Whereas Newbee.Young, like most of the teams in China, have been thrown together. It's a mix of 2 or 3 teams recently. So IG just on the same page, have the plan, like know what they want to do, and especially in the second game, this is like their go-to thing right now. The Ferrari Alchemist and all the timings, all the heroes that go with it. They like to pick the Clinks with it. They like to pick the Bounty with it. I haven't seen them pick both with it before, but it seems to work fine this game.
Yep. I do believe Morphling in theory might not have been the best pick. Yeah, it'll beat the Alchemist ultra late, but what about the early stage? Maybe picking up a more high tempo core to go in addition with your Timber and TIE Hunter picks would have done better for them. But that's just.
Yeah, I've seen 1 or 2 teams succeed with the Morphling as like sort of a counter to the Elk, but it's almost like there was that patch when we were at Starladder, like LGD were picking Morphling all the time. Do you remember that? And it was kind of like everyone was pushing, but they would pick Morphling anyway. And I felt like it's the same kind of risk. They've got this hero that, like, if they get to a certain point, they definitely win. But getting to that point is difficult, and it's actually made more difficult by picking the hero itself. So then you have to commit much more to your other heroes getting you to that point. And in this game, Newbee.Young's other heroes presented a good threat for, like, getting Morphling space if there were constant 5v5 fights early on, but they just weren't. IG were dodging those fights until they were much more farmed, and then they could just win them.
Yeah, we also had a running joke at Starladder that they got away with it because they had Sylar, which is, I think, partly true, right? Because Sylar's probably one of the best Morphling players. And unfortunately, Newbee.Young does not have Sylar. Newbee.Young, though, is going home, and IG will advance, and they will play the winner of our next series, which is... I gotta double check again.
That's LGD and CDEC Youth, I think.
Yeah, CDEC Youth versus LGD. That should start... let's see. Let me check my clock. 1 hour from now. That's the official time. Although I don't know if they want to start. They'll probably start 1 hour from now. So I'll leave the stream up. Thank you guys for watching. You can follow Scantzors at Scantzors. No SE at the end. Just at Scantzor. I'm at Luminous Inverse. We'll be back for the second series as well. I hope you guys enjoy the cast, even though the games are somewhat one-sided. I do expect the next set to be much closer, though. I think those teams are going to provide us a 3-game series for sure.
Definitely. LGD got directly invited to the major. Some people don't think they should have been. CDC Youth are a team that have been actually putting up a lot of results recently. So I think it will be a much tighter series.
Right. We'll see you guys in an hour. Go watch probably at the LAN that's ongoing. That's pretty fun as well. But we'll be back. Thanks for watching, guys.